Excuse me, I didn't put the microphone on. Apologies, welcome back to Spirit Lounge. Apologies for the opener there, it keeps cracking on me and like there's some kind of delay, so we'll carry on and there shouldn't be too much of a hindrance. We'll go straight into the next, following on to our Apocrypha series. So here we go. This one is the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. These are the leaders of the 12 tribes. So this is a very, very long video. This is going to be a very long video, so I ask you to brace yourselves, and if you need to watch this over 2 sittings, then please do so. But it is a very long video. It's going through each of the 12 patriarchs, and it's effectively a story, rather a writing of what their words were passed down to the children before their deaths, and the visions and the predictions of what was going to happen to them and also the nation of Israel and its tribulations that it would go through. So let's get straight into this. Okay, so it contains the last words of 12 sons of Jacob, the 12 leaders of the tribes, and it's part of the Oskan, which is, from what I understand, is the first complete printing of the Bible in Armenia, and it was known as the Oskan Bible, Orthodox Bible, and it's written in Hebrew or Greek, and it's possibly in the second century BC, and was developed during and towards the end of that century. Okay, so the first one is a testament of Reuben, the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah. The testament of Reuben, he gave to his sons. Believe he died, and I believe he died in 125th year of his life. So all of these patriarchs actually lived a very long time, over 100, most of them, in 115th, 120 something early years of that. You'll find, I am dying, and I go the way of my fathers. Tell my brothers to my children, things I have hidden in my heart. Give ear to your father Reuben. I call the God of heaven, that you may not walk in the sins of youth and fornication. And so each chapter is talking about one of the 12 leaders of the tribes and their own transgressions and what they've done, and their advice to their children to not do so and why, and also their predictions from reading the book of Enoch, which we'll get to. Actually, it's coming up after the Jubilees chapter. For I was 30 years old when I worked the evil things before the Lord. After this I converted with set purpose of my soul. I mourned over my sin, for it was great. Concerning the 7 spirits of deceit appointed against man in the works of youth, 7 other spirits are given to him at his creation, done every work of man. First is the spirit of life, the second is the sense of sight, the third is the sense of hearing, the fourth is the sense of smell, the fifth is the power of speech, the sixth the sense of taste, seventh is the power of procreation. Love of pleasure. When you have the love of pleasure, sins enter in. Last in the order of creation, because it is filled with ignorance and leads the youth as a blind man to a pit. Okay, I'm waiting for this to move. I'm sorry about this. It's just taking a very long time. For some reason, everything is slowing down on my laptop for some reason. And it doesn't seem to show itself on the screen very fast. I don't know what's going on. I've rebooted this, must have been 3 times now. Okay, and 8 is a spirit of sleep, trance of nature, an image of death, mingled with the spirits of error. First, the spirit of fornication seated in the senses. Second, the spirit of insatiableness. Third, the spirit of fighting. Fourth is the spirit of groveling and trickery. So these are the spirits that gain us. Those are the other ones, the senses. The fifth is the spirit of pride. The sixth is the spirit of dying. Perdition and jealousy reside in this space. Seventh is the spirit of injustice. Injustice works together with the other spirits by taking of gifts. Sleep is joined, error and fantasy. So perishes every young man, darkening his mind. Pay no heed to the face of a woman, nor associate with another man's wife. For if I had not seen Bela bathing in a covered place, I would not have fallen into this great iniquity. Bela became drunk. I worked the impiety without her perceiving it. In other words, he raped her while she was drunk. Pay no heed to the beauty of women. So remember, this is the Apocrypha, stated to be before the First Testament. The First Testament is very anti-women and anti-feminine, female, blaming them for all sins. These sins are obviously we know now are the responsibility of the person who's doing the sin. It's not because of a woman. But remember, this is when again this was written. It does bleed into the first the Old Testament, which we will go through. But from what I understand, this kind of narrative continues into there. Okay, walk in singleness of the heart in the fear of the Lord. Labour on good works and on study, until the Lord gives you a wife. For until my father's death I did not have boldness to look in his face, because of the reproach. My father comforted me, and he prayed for me. I say to you, observe all things, you will not sin. Soul separating it from God and bringing it next to idols leads young men to Hades. Joseph, how he guarded himself, found favour in the sight of God. Egyptian women did many things to him, summoned magicians, love potions. His soul admitted no evil desire. The women are evil. Use schemes by outward attractions. Again, this is seeing evil as women as the evil in the world. Excuse me. They overcome him by craft. They plot against men. Harlots bearing, she deceives him. Command your wives, your daughters. They do not adorn their heads. So this is where I think covering of the head came from. If you notice, the Orthodox Jewish and Islam and other nations, they must have got it from this kind of doctrine where it was saying that because women were evil, they were luring men into transgressions. It was their fault, so therefore they had to cover themselves to stop men from becoming attracted to them and giving them attention. They do not adorn their heads. They allured watchers who were before the flood. This must be the seed of Adam. The other nations, lusting in their minds after their forms, gave birth to giants. Guard your senses. Fornication there is neither understanding nor godliness. Jealousy dwells in the lust thereof. Jealousy against the sons of Levi. For God will avenge them. You will die by an evil death. Listen to Levi. Reuben died, and they buried him in Hebron, I think in the caves of their fathers. And we'll go into Levi later because it does explain who Levi are. Okay, the Testaments of Simeon, the second son of Jacob and Leah. The copy of the words of Simeon to his sons before he died. In the 120th year of his life, I was given born of Jacob as my fathers. I became exceedingly strong, nor was I afraid of anything. Valor was also given from the Most High. I was jealous in many things of Joseph. Now, just remember Joseph. There was a lot of jealousy towards Joseph, and you'll see why later as we move through this chapter. We had mind against him. We had a spirit of jealousy and it blinded my soul. It blinded my mind rather. As a brother, nor did I even spare my father Jacob. God of his fathers sent forth his messenger and delivered him out of my hands. The Lord restrained me, for my right hand was half withered for 7 days. I converted and wept. My children listened to me. Envy rules over the whole mind of a man. Suggest to him to destroy him that he envies. I afflicted my soul. That deliverance from envy comes by the fear of God. Man flees to the Lord, the evil spirit runs away. His mind is lightened. I was guilty of selling of Joseph. Joseph was a good man. He bore no malice against me. Keeping in mind Joseph, God may also give you grace and glory. Envy makes the soul savage, stirs up deeds of blood, wakes the mind from sleep in confusion. Okay, Joseph was handsome in appearance, because no wickedness dwelt in him, for the face manifests some of the trouble of the spirit. Now, I wanted to touch on this. This was interesting. It does touch onto this later, where he's talking about the body is a reflection of its purpose or its vehicle. And we go into it now instead. It does say the face manifests some of the trouble of the spirit. Now, if you look at a person, particularly those who we have given power to, they have the most money. They eat the best food, drink the best water, the best wines. They travel the most luxurious lives. They own the most houses. They adorn power and governance and money. They lust. They have perverted practices which are unaddressed by us, the populace. They have everything that we would see in movies and so many people dream of. Yet, if you look at their faces are often worn, soiled, old, decrepit. Their eyes are dark and bulging and sagging. It's because the energy of them in their spirit, because their spirit is lost and gone towards malevolence, is reflected in their eyes and in their face and in their bodies. Even they become ill eventually. All of cancers, many ailments of the body that we don't hear about, and they get the treatments that we don't know about. And this is an absolute truth here, where it says the face manifests some of the trouble of the spirit. It does. If you want to know the truth, what someone is, look into their eyes and see the darkness, the soulless, loveless eyes, but also the face. Look upon the face of those out there. Look upon their downturned mouths. Look upon the evil, the malevolence that exists in them, because there's no love in the reflection in their faces or their eyes or the smiles that they have. They're all false. There are many politicians like this, many leaders that we see, but the real malevolence exists in the shadows of those that we don't see. Beware of fornication. My mother is the mother of all evils, bringing near to Belial. Belial is a term occurring in the Hebrew and Old Testament, and it was later associated with the devil. I have seen inscribed in the book of Enoch, sons will be corrupted. Do harm to the sons of Levi. So the sons of Levi was, according to the book of Genesis, the third of the 6 sons of Jacob and Leah, and the founder of the Israelite tribe of Levi and the grandfather of Aaron, Moses and Miriam. And in certain parts of the faith, they were given reserved the rights of religion and political functions. Hence, you'll see them noted many times in this chapter as being the one to follow. They will not be able to withstand the Levi, i.e. the priesthood, the Levi. They will wage war of the Lord and will conquer all your hosts. Behold, I have told you all the things that may be acquitted of your sin, that you may be acquitted of your sin. Remove my envy and my flesh in Jacob as a lily. Holy ones will be multiplied. Branches will stretch far off. Seed of Canaan will perish. The Cappadocians, Hittites, and Ham will fail. Earth will rest from the trouble. Lord God will appear on earth. My children obey Levi and Judah. So Judah was more of a leader, a king. Levi being the priesthood, the religious and political. And do not be lifted up against these 2 tribes. Salvation of God will arise to you. Lord will raise up from Levi as it were a chief priest, and from Judah as it were a king. Simeon had made an end of commanding his sons. 120 years old, they were in Egypt until the day of their departures by the hand of Moses. Okay, the testament of Levi, the third son of Jacob and Leah. So Levi was given again the political and religious responsibilities, and were regarded as those in which the other tribes should refer to for those matters. I, Levi, was born in Haran. I worked vengeance on Hamor for our sister Dinah. So this Hamor committed a sin against her sister Dinah. I saw all men corrupting their way. Lawlessness sat on towers. Fell on me asleep. I beheld a high mountain. God said to me, Levi, enter. First heaven, I saw a great hanging there. Second heaven, far brighter and more brilliant. I saw a great sea hanging there, A great sea, what that means is a populace, souls in other words, a mass of souls. And the second heaven was far brighter and more brilliant, so he went on into a further dimensional state of perception and being, frequency. I said to the messenger, why is this so? He said, you will see another heaven. You have ascended there. Stand near the Lord, and he will declare his mysteries to men, and it will redeem Israel. The heavens I show to you. Lowest is for reason gloomy to you. So this was the one where you saw the great sea. Behold, it beholds all the unrighteous. Fire, snow, and ice made ready for the day of judgment. Spirits of redistribution on men. Spirits of retribution on men, not redistribution. In the second, at the host of armies, for the day of judgment, vengeance on the spirits of deceit and of Belial. Above them are the holy ones. In the highest of all dwells the great glory. The chief messengers, Lord of all sins of ignorance and of the righteous. In the heaven next to this are thrones and dominions. When therefore the Lord looks on us, all of us are shaken. So this is very, very much similar to the Nag Hammadi states of perception and consciousness in which you move through. Lord will execute judgment on the sons of men. He takes spoils through. Men will be unbelieving and persist in their iniquity. Most High has heard, to separate you from iniquity. Become a son of him, light of knowledge in Jacob, son to all the seed of Israel, until the Lord will visit all the nations in his tender forever. Messenger opened the gates of heaven to me. I saw the holy temple. Levi, I have given you the blessings of the priesthood. So remember, the Levi were the priesthood in political matters. Execute vengeance on Shechem because of your sister. So Shechem is a place, and what they were two people that sons of Hamor, which they were taking vengeance on. Because of your sister Dinah, I destroyed the sons of Hamor, as it is written in the heavenly tablets. O Lord, tell me your name. I am the messenger who intercedes for the nation of Israel. Not to be utterly smitten, for every evil spirit attacks it. I counseled my father and my brother Reuben, sons of Hamor, not to be circumcised, because of the abomination. On my sister I slew Shechem. I slew Shechem first. Simeon slew Hamor. The sentence of God was for evil on Shechem, for they sought to do Sarah and Rebekah had done our sister Dinah. So they were also seeking to perform a transgression on their other two sisters. We departed and came to Bethel. I saw a vision as the former. Men in a white raiment arise out on the robe of priesthood, the crown of righteousness and the breastplate of understanding. They wore a garment of truth, the plate of faith, an ephod, which is an apron of prophecy, became a priesthood of the Lord. Anointed with holy oil, washed with pure water, they clothed me with a linen vestment, put on a girdle, a branch of olive oil, placed the crown on my head, and placed the diadem of priesthood on my head. Levi, your seed, this is Levi, divided into 3 offices. The first portion will be great, the second in the priesthood, and the third will be called a new name, because a king will arise in Judah and establish a new priesthood. Every desirable thing in Israel will be for you and for your seed. I awoke. Now, I wasn't so clear about what this new king was going to be, because the king would ride in Judea. Now, I am feeling this is the Christ, Jesus itself. My father saw a vision concerning me, that I should be their priest to God. We came to Hebron to dwell there. The messenger of the Lord showed to me, and he taught me the law of the priesthood. Beware of the priest of fornication. Take a wife without blemish or pollution, not of the race of strange nations. Again, this goes back to what we were talking to before, why certain communities, groups of people seek to remain the lineage is within their own religious group. And this is within the Jewish nation. This is where this may come from. I took a wife. I was 28. Her name was Melchor. A son, and we had a son called Gershom. Kohath was born. A third son, Merari, and Jochebed was born in Egypt. So 4. Fear the Lord your God. Walk in simplicity according to his law. Teach your children. You may have treasure in heaven and sow good things in your souls. If you sow evil things, you will reap every trouble and affliction. Get wisdom in the fear of God with diligence. Nothing can take away the wisdom of the wise. Save the blindness of ungodliness, or to the ungodly, if in other words. My children, I have learned that at the end of the ages you will transgress against the Lord. Again, this is the prophecy in the book of Enoch. Our father Israel is pure from the transgression of chief priests, who will lay their hands on the Saviour of the world. So again, I'm unsure if this is Jesus they're talking about, because he was crucified not just by the Romans but also those that betrayed him. Heaven is purer in the Lord's sight than the earth, so also are you. If you are darkened through transgressions, you will bring a curse on our race. Light of the law which was given to lighten every man. You will steal choice portions from his portion. You will teach the commandments of the Lord. You will pollute wedded women. Your union will be like Sodom and Gomorrah. So he's kind of asking them to teach the commandments, but also telling them what the prophecy is in the book of Enoch, which we are going to be going through in later videos, and I'm looking forward to that. The temple which the Lord will choose will be laid waste through your uncleanness, and you will be captives throughout all nations. If you were not to receive mercy through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our fathers, not one of our seed should be left on the earth. I have learnt that for 70 weeks you will go astray. You will persecute righteous men and hate the godly. A man who renews the law in the power of the Most High, you will call a deceiver. Again, who is this? This could be Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Rush on him to slay him. You will be a curse and a dispersion, until he will again visit you in pity and will receive you through faith and water. In each jubilee there will be a priesthood. It will be good and speak to God. In the second jubilee, anointed will be conceived in the sorrow of beloved ones. A third priest will be taken hold of by sorrow. A fourth will be in pain. A fifth will be taken hold of darkness. Likewise, sixth and seventh, in such pollution as I cannot express before men. After their punishment, priesthood will fail. The Lord will raise up a new priest. To him the words of the Lord will be revealed. Execute righteous judgment. He will be magnified in the world. The earth will be glad. None will succeed him for all generations forever, enlightened through the grace of the Lord. In his priesthood sin will come to an end, and will remove the threatening sword against Adam. He will give to the saints to eat from the tree of life, which is knowledge. The spirit of holiness will be in them. My children, choose for yourselves either the light or the darkness. This is a choice for all of us, by the way. Law of the Lord or the works of Bilal. We will walk before the Lord. His law, Lord is a witness. Messengers are witnesses. You are witnesses. I am a witness. So again, very interesting. Levi are the priesthood, but it's talking much about the prophecy in the book of Enoch about the fall of the nations, and that they'll be taken off into slavery throughout all the other nations, into Egypt and so forth, into Babylon, and that they'll come back together. But it also states they will transgress again. And we'll go into this. The testament of Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. The words of Judah before he died. Listen, my children, the Lord showed me favour, that I raised a doe and caught it. So this is, you can take this section with a pinch of salt. A wild mare, I tamed it. I slew a lion and plucked a kid out of its mouth. A bear by its paw and hurled it down a cliff, and I outran a wild boar. And when the two kings of the Canaanites came sheathed in armour against our flock, I rushed on the king in Hazor single-handedly. And then it goes on to talk about many, many battles in which Judah performed his bravery and strength and agility. While Tamar was a widow, she adorned herself in a bridal array. She drank with wines. I did not recognize her. Let me go in on you, did Judah say to her. She said, what will you give me? And he mistakenly gave her his staff, his girdle, and diadem, which are the representations of him as a leader of his tribe. And so she conceived after he went in her. I wished to slay her, and he wished then to slay her. Now, again, we're just going to write this off to the time when this was written. This seems to always blame the women for all transgressions of men. I had done this abomination in all Israel. Listen to your father, Judea. Listen to your father, Judah. Perform all the ordinances of the Lord and to obey the commandments of God. Do not glory in the deeds and strength of your youth. Do not be drunk with wine. It turns the mind away from the truth, inspires the passion of lust, and leads the eyes into error. Drinks wine to drunkenness. It disturbs the mind with filthy thoughts. He works in sin. It's also made me to err. For even though man is a king and commits fornication, he is stripped of his kingship by becoming the slave of fornication, as I myself also suffered. I gave my stuff, my power, observe the right limit, gave my stuff and my power. Observe the right limit in wine. Four evil spirits in it of lust, desire, shameful gain. God departs. Live soberly. So again, it's talking about more than just acts there from Judah, and why he's asking his children to follow something different. My children, not to love money, gaze at beauty, and not to gaze at beauty of women. Sake of money and beauty, I was led astray. I know that because of these two things, my race would fall into wickedness, money and beauty. I know what evils you will do in the last days, my children of fornication and the love of money. These things withdraw you from the law of God. They rob his soul and all of goodness, not remembering the blessings of God. Walks in day as in night. Men name as gods those who are not gods. I learned my own weakness while thinking myself invincible. My two spirits of man, truth, deceit, I command you, love Levi, do not exalt yourselves. Heaven is greater than earth. Abraham and Isaac and Jacob will arise to life, and my brothers and I will be chiefs of the tribes of Israel, the 12. Levi first, I second, Joseph third, Benjamin fourth, Simeon fifth, Issachar sixth, and so all in order. The people of the Lord have one tongue. Now, I want to go back to this. It said something here. Men name as gods those who are not gods. This is interesting. This is not just idols. This is also those who have gone to the left. Remember the left and the right, godlessness and grace, matter, material, and spirit. Psychical is in the middle. Those who dwell also into the far left not only choose, it's not idols that they choose. They conjure dark entities from the realms of possibility and probability, called the astral realm, if you like, and they create their demons and their gods in which they sacrifice and perform heinous and horrendous acts that cannot be named here. We all know what they are. This is the truth there. So it's not just, and they name themselves gods, this becomes their god. And so it works in very extreme ways, from true grace to absolute malevolent loss. And that malevolence is then executed on the populace, which is the human race, by the few. Okay, the testament of Issachar, the fifth son of Jacob and Leah. Words of Issachar. Listen, my children, I was born the fifth son of Jacob, fifth son to Jacob. My children, walk in singleness of your heart, for I have seen it all, that is well pleasing to the Lord. The single-minded man does not covet gold, not desire to live a long life, only waits for the will of God. Spirits of deceit have no power against him, no envy in his thoughts. Keep the law of God. Walk in guilelessness, which is honesty. Love the Lord and your neighbour. Compassion on the poor. Know that in the last times your sons will forsake singleness. This is again the prophecy in the book of Enoch. And they will cleave to insatiable desires, which means hold on to, grab, embrace. Forsaking the commandments of the Lord. Serving their enemies. I am 126 years old. Guile did not arise in my heart. Dishonesty. I love the Lord. You must also sow these things. No deed of wicked men will rule over you. That's right. This is true, and I put yes here. When you walk in the state of grace, no matter how much malevolence is in this world, it will never touch you. No matter how much Satanism and demonism and paedophilia and horrendous sacrificial practices and symbolism and horror that exists, it will not come near you. The grace of light and the breath of God that exists within you, that emanates out, is the most strongest of all. Everything else will be repelled by it. And this is what this means. Yes, I love the Lord, you must also sow these things. No deed of wickedness men will rule over you. This is true. You have God in the heavens and the earth with you. Carry him up to Hebron. They buried him in a cave with his father. So this is after he died. Okay, the testaments of Zebulun, the sixth son of Jacob and Leah. Words of Zebulun. He died 114th year. Listen to me. Nor yet do I remember that I have done any iniquity except the sin of ignorance which I committed against Joseph. There's many of them that committed a sin against Joseph. It'll come to much more expanded narrative why later. Joseph, for I covenanted with my brothers. Law of Moses, and there was a law of Moses that whosoever will not raise up seed to his brother, his sandals should be unloosed, and they should spit on his face. So this is talking about those who come upon their brother in a transgression, and those who don't rise up to defend. Their shoes should be unloosed, which means just they have a level of disrespect, and they spit on his face. This is an interpretation that I understand from when looking at it. My children, I bid you to keep the commandments of the Lord. Show mercy to your neighbours. Even so the Lord will do to him also. Sons and my brothers were getting sick and dying on account of Joseph. Again, this was the energy that was conflicting with their soul and their spirit. What they did to Joseph was conflicting in them, and it was making them ill. It was showing in their face, it was showing in their energy, it was showing in their eyes. They did not show mercy in their hearts. Give to every man with a good heart. That's true, not in judgment. Give without judgment. It's not in our concern how one receives or uses what we offer. Just give if you're going to give without judgment. Otherwise, do not. If you do not have the means to give to him that needs, have compassion for him in yearnings of mercy. In the last days, God will send his compassion on earth. When we went down into Egypt, Joseph bore no malice against us. They go into this bit later. Observe the waters and know when they flow together. If they are divided into many streams, the earth swallows them up. If you are divided in two heads. The Lord has made but one head. I have learned in the writings of my fathers, you will be divided in Israel. You will follow two kings. Work every abomination. Your enemies will lead you captive. You will be treated as evil among nations. Many tribulations, but the Lord will bring continuous fire on the ungodly and destroy them throughout all generations. So the testament of Dan, the seventh son of Jacob and Leah. The word of Dan, he spoke to his sons, 125th year. So he's quite, I think, was one of the oldest there. I have proven in my heart and in my whole life that truth with just dealing is good and well pleasing to God, and that lying and anger are evil because they teach man all wickedness. My brother Joseph, I rejoice that when he was sold because his father loved him more than us. Belial stirred me up to take his sword and slay Joseph. So your father will love you. So the devil, he's saying the devil was telling him to pick up a sword, kill Joseph, because then his father will start to love him just as much. Keep yourselves from the spirit of lying and of anger, and love truth and long suffering, you will perish. Anger is blindness. Anger is an evil thing. It gets the mastery of his soul. The soul justifies what is done. Spirit always goes with lying at the right hand side of Satan. That with cruelty and lying his works may be worked. Understand the power of wrath. Who is angry, it disturbs the mind, and so stirs up his soul with great wrath. Observe, my children, the commandments of the Lord, and keep his law. Depart from wrath and hate lying. Belial may flee from you, the God of peace, so no war will prevail. I know that in the last days you will depart from the Lord and provoke Levi to anger. You will fight against Judah. The messenger of the Lord will guide them both. You depart from the Lord, you walk in evil. I have read the scroll of Enoch, that your prince is Satan. Spirits of wickedness conspire to attend constantly on the sons of Levi. My sons will draw near to Levi, into captivity. You will receive all the plagues. You will return to the Lord. You will receive mercy, and he'll give you peace. Make war on Belial. Saints will rest in Eden. The righteous will rejoice in New Jerusalem. Beware of Satan and his spirits. Draw near to God and to the messenger that intercedes for you. The messenger of peace will strengthen Israel, and it will not fall into the extremity of evil. So again, there's many of the brothers went against Joseph. It's pretty clear where this was going then. Okay, so the testament of Naphtali, the eighth son of Jacob and Leah. This is a copy of the testament of Naphtali, 113th year of his life. I am dying, and the not believe him, and they did not believe him. My children, I was born from Bilhah, and because of Rachel's because Rachel dealt craftily. So Bilhah is the handmaiden of Rachel. He gave Bilhah in place of herself to Jacob. So Jacob made love to Bilhah. Maybe he didn't know, maybe he didn't. I don't know. He's talking about craftily, so maybe he was drunk. I was born on her, Rachel, on Rachel's lap. Rachel loved me. I was swift as a deer. Jacob appointed me for all messages. Lord makes the body after the likeness of the spirit. So he's talking about the body is created depending on its purpose, physical purpose, or physical purpose it was going to serve. So this is what it's saying. And implants the spirit according to the capacity of the body. I'm not sure about that. I think we just get the body that we need for the purpose that we're going to be serving, or the spiritual purpose we are meant to be serving. Whether we serve that or not is a different matter. This is the body obviously coming out of DNA and passed on DNA from our parents and so forth, so we understand that in the material side of things. Lord makes the body after the likeness of the spirit. Again, that's not the case. It implants the body transforms itself depending on the energy that we're cascading through our soul, remember. Implants the spirit according to the capacity of the body. A potter knows the use of each vessel. The Lord created man in his own image. I would say the image of the Lord is actually the breath of light, the spirit that's within you. It's not the body itself. That's just a physical, material thing which was manifest in this realm, but isn't necessarily the image of our Divine Father, which is the all itself. Remember, there is many forms of conscious and intelligent and spiritual life in this cosmos. Not to be said that the one is like the other. Let all your works be done in order with good intent, in the fear of God. Okay, there is a decision between light and darkness, a division between man and man, woman and woman. It's not to be said that one is like the other. Let all your works be done in order with good intent in the fear of God. Neither can you do the works of light while you are in darkness. Do not be eager to corrupt your doings through covetousness, or to deceive your soul with vain words. If you keep silence in purity of heart, hold fast the will of God. Cast away the will of Belial. The sun, moon, and stars do not change their order, so you also must not change the law of God. The nations went astray. You will not be so. Do not become as Sodom. I have read in the writing of Enoch that you yourselves will depart from the Lord. and will do wickedness of Sodom. Lord will bring captivity on you. After you have become diminished, you will return and acknowledge the Lord your God, and he will bring back into your land. He will bring you back into your land. They will again forget the Lord. The Lord will scatter them on the face of all the earth. So he seems to suggest when they get back into Israel, they're going to again forget those mass passages and perform transgressions and be scattered again. This may have, I don't follow this, but I think this may have already occurred. The second transgression I speak of. I saw a vision on the Mount of Olives. The sun and the moon were standing still. Father said, "Run and lay hold of them, each according to his strength." Levi laid hold of the sun. Judah outstripped all of the others and seized the moon. Levi became the sun, and Judah was bright as the moon. A bull with two great horns and eagle wings on its back. We wished to seize him, but he ascended up. A holy writing appealed to us. It said, Assyrians, the Medes, Persians, Chaldeans, and Syrians will possess in captivity the 12 tribes of Israel. I saw our father Jacob standing by the sea of Jamnia, a ship sailing by. Let us embark on our ship. Arose a vehement storm, and it departed from us. It tossed with a tempest. I told these two dreams to my father, and he said to me, These things must be filled. Behold, I have sown the last times to you. Everything will come to pass in Israel. United to Levi and to Judah, for salvation will arise to Israel through them. Through their tribes God will appear. Devil will flee from you. Good work there is a good remembrance before God. But him that does not that which is good. Messengers and men will curse. God will be dishonored among the nations. The devil will make him as his own peculiar instrument. These passages are very interesting. I actually quite enjoyed reading this one. It's the first chapter I actually enjoyed reading. The Testament of Gad, the ninth son of Jacob and Leah. Copy of Testament of Gad. He spoke to his sons in the 125th year of his life. Yet again, another quite old individual. The ninth son born to Jacob. I was valiant in keeping flocks. Joseph told our father that the sons of Zilpah and Bilhah were slaying the best of the flock and eating them against the judgment of Reuben and Judah. I was angry. Hatred was in me. Oftentimes I wished to kill him. So again, they hated Joseph for another reason. Hated him even more for his dreams. Simeon and I sold him to the Ishmaelites for 30 pieces of gold. So this is what they did. They hated their brother so much, they sold him. My children work righteousness and the law, and all the law of the Most High. Do not go astray. The hater abominates himself. He disparages the truth, envies him that prospers. Beware of hatred. The spirit of hatred works together with Satan through the hastiness of spirit in all things to men's death. Hastiness means doing things without thought. Men's death, but the spirit of love works together with the law of God in long suffering to the salvation of men. Therefore hatred is evil, causes the light to be darkness, stirs up war, violence, all covetousness. Drive hatred away of the devil, cleave to the love of God. Righteousness casts out hatred. Humility destroys envy. The Lord looks on his inclination, not to do wrong to any man even in thought. I learned these after I had converted concerning Joseph. For true conversion after a godly sort destroys ignorance. God brought a disease of the liver on me, judged for 11 months. So he says, look at those who we are given power in the sight and in the shadow. Again, like I said before, the frequency and energies in which you emit in your actions, words, thoughts, and intentions will appear within your organs, your illnesses, but more so within the darkness and deadness of the eyes and the aging of the face and the skin, no matter how prosperous the life is and how the most purest and beautiful things they consume and the access to the most hidden things that they leave to themselves, their bodies will always reflect their true perception, their energy and malevolence. Always look at the person. Do not be distracted by money, by their notoriety, their fame, their so-called stature and their name, or their position, or the agency that they may have set up in pretense that they're doing good. You will judge the man and the woman and the person by the energy in which you feel them, and you'll see who they really are. Okay, put away hatred from your hearts, love one another indeed. Do not hold guile in your soul. So forgive him from the heart and delve the avenging God. So I put here, this is a misunderstanding of cause and effect and feels like a false deity or perception of the age. So again, this fearful, this vengeful, this hateful God that hates you and will punish you if you don't tell it you love it constantly. This is not what I understand it to be, but I take this as being the passage of the age in which men perceived the divine and in their primitive awareness of it. Though a man becomes rich by evil means, do not be jealous. He forgives him if free for envy, and it pleases the Lord. Okay, the Testament of Asher, the 10th son of Jacob and Leah. The copy of Testament of Asher, 125th year of life, again, pretty old. God has given me 2 ways to the sons of men and 2 inclinations. 2 kinds of action, 2 modes of action, 2 issues. All things are by 2. 2 ways of good and evil. 2 inclinations in our breasts, discriminating them. Those are the soul and the heart. If the soul takes pleasure in the good inclination, if it sins, it immediately converts it. Thoughts set on righteousness and casting away wickedness inclines to evil inclination. All actions are in wickedness. Belial perverts it to evil. Help the good for the sake of evil. Though indeed he has love, yet he is wicked. He is a wicked man who conceals what is evil for the sake of the good name. So this is talking about those who conceal. It does talk about later in here that there are the 2 frequencies, one hides the other. Well, there are those who pertain to be good but are hiding actual wickedness beneath. And again, don't listen to the words. Feel and look at the energy of the eyes, the skin, how it, for the mega rich and the wealthy and the overindulged, they look like they are living lives, negative lives and malevolent lives, because it shows in their faces. It shows in them. God has his habitation therein. Flee away from wickedness, for good men of a single face. Double-faced to sin are just before God. Good and evil, but the whole is good. He has uprooted and destroyed that is good. There are 2 in all things. One is hidden by the other, as we talked about. There's good and evil. Just things under life, unjust things under death. Continuous life awaits death. All truth is under light. I proved in my life I did not wander from the truth of the Lord. Take heed, children, to the commandments of the Lord. Double-faced, 2-faced sin. Good, and keep it all in all commandments of the Lord, having your conversion therein. Latter end of men show their righteousness. When they meet the messengers of the Lord, end of Satan. When the soul departs troubled, it is tormented by evil spirits. If he is peaceful and with joy, he meets the messenger of peace, and he leads him into continuous life. Now, with regards to the life and death element of this, we all traverse towards the same source. The frequency of our soul, however, remember our divine spirit is always of grace and of light, and of the all. It cannot be perverted, kept, imprisoned, or misguided. It's always there, connected. It's our souls, the expression, which will attract you to like attracts like. If your soul's of evil and malevolence, your soul will drift in the afterlife towards the frequency of those of the same malevolence as oneself, and you'll often enter life interacting with those of the same malevolence for you to make a different decision this time. Whether we do or not is a different question in another lifetime, but your soul will be resonating. So I think this is, for me, I do agree with this statement, and I also disagree with the physical separation of a heaven and a hell. I think our hell is twofold. It's continual incarnation into material life, where there's this brutal duality of good and evil, which is manifested by life that exists in this universe. because it's probable and possible, and so therefore it is done. But also that the soul is locked into a perversion or a light in which it locks itself, and it will always entwine itself with those of its same frequency. And I always say to some people that those who are perverted in this life will create to have done malevolent things of perversion or paedophilia or satanic ritual abuse. Those kind of things will often come back into the same and to do the same, because it's their soul's frequency. It's the garment which they wear when they enter life. It's their soul's garment. They also have the divine light inside, but they have chosen to move away from it to these demonic and satanic gods and idols that they worship, and which guides them in their darkness. And they always, no matter how much wealth and prosperity, abundance and food and water, purity of medicine that is not available to others that they have, they will always reflect malevolence in their eyes and in their bodies. They curse themselves. It's a losing battle. It's a losing cycle. And at the end, when the souls that have chosen to go towards the right, to spirit, to God, to source, and integrate their soul into their spirit, they will evolve away from this, and what will left will be serpents to devour themselves, because there will be nothing else to devour. Do not become my children as Sodom, for I know that you will sin. Be delivered into the land of your enemies. Land will be made desolate, scattered to the four corners of the earth, until the Most High will visit the earth, eating and drinking men, and breaking the head of the dragon in the water. Dragon being that of the Belial, or the devil, metaphorically. Okay. The Testament of Joseph, the 11th son of Jacob and Leah. Now, a lot of the previous testaments were around the transgressions to Joseph. So this will be an interesting chapter for all who are listening to this, because this is, I found, these quite interesting. Okay, a copy of the Testament of Joseph. He was about to die. Listen to Joseph, the beloved of Israel. The brothers of three brothers of mine hated me, but the God of my fathers guarded me. They kept me down into a pit, and the Most High brought me up again. I was sold into slavery. Lord of old made me free. Lord himself nourished me. My God showed favour on me. The chief captain Pharaoh entrusted his house to me. God of my father delivered me from the burning flame. I was beaten, I was mocked, for the Lord does not forsake those that fear him. For God is not ours to shame as a man, but in all those things he gives protection. How often did the Egyptian woman threaten me with death when I was unwilling to accompany her? In other words, he had chastity and he prayed and he fasted, but this Egyptian woman, who was the wife of the Pharaoh, kept wanting to take Joseph into her bed, and she refused. I fasted in those 7 years. She often flattered me with the words as a holy man, and guilefully in her talk praised my chastity before her husband, while desiring to ensnare me when we were alone. She sent me food mingled with enchantments. I saw the spirit of Belial troubling her. I knelt before the Lord all day and all night, praying for release. I was delivered from the lustful desire of the Egyptian woman. My children, how great thing patience works. Prayer with fasting, if you follow after chastity and purity, with patience and prayer, with fasting and humility of heart. Lord who dwells in him, delivers him from evil. For in every way the man is lifted up, whether in deed or in word or in thought. My children, have fear of God in all your works before your eyes, and honour your brothers. Who does the law of the Lord will be loved by him. The Ishmaelites came, for they had heard that my father Jacob was mourning. How is it that you said that you were a slave? We learned that you are the son of a mighty man in the land of the Canaan. I restrained, not to put my brothers to shame. They took counsel to sell me. They feared my father, as he was known to be mighty with God and men. This is Jacob. My children, what great things I endured, and I should not put my brothers to shame. They love one another, hide one another's faults, in the purpose of the heart. Walk in the commandments of the Lord. For I know that after my death the Egyptians will afflict you. But God will avenge you and will bring you into that which he promised to your fathers. Belial will be in darkness with the Egyptians and buried in Hebron. They buried him in Hebron. Okay, the testament of Benjamin, the 12th son of Jacob and Leah. Words of Benjamin. He lived 125 years. Isaac was born to Abraham in his old age. So was I also to Jacob. My mother Rachel dies in giving me birth. I was suckled by a handmaiden Bilhah. I went to Egypt to Joseph. He said to me, what did they tell my father when they sold me? They said that Canaanite merchants stole me by force, or a wild beast had met me and slain me. My children, you must love the Lord God of the heavens and the earth and keep his commandments. The example of the good and holy man Joseph. Joseph also implored our father that he would pray for his brothers, that the Lord would not impute to them as sin whatever evil they had done to him. My children, do you see the end of the good man? Be the followers of his compassion, therefore, with a good mind. You may also wear crowns of glory. As for him who has the fear of God, he protects him. As with a shield, he helps him that loved God. For where there is reverence for good works and light in the mind, even darkness flees away from him. It's true. If anyone betrays a righteous man, and the righteous man prays, though for a little while he is humbled, inclination of good man is not in the power of the deceit of the spirit of Belial, for the messenger of peace guides the soul. The Lord dwells in him and lights up his soul. Flee the malice of Belial. The sword is the mother of seven evils. The mind conceives through Belial. First there is bloodshed, secondly ruin, thirdly tribulation, fourthly exile, fifthly scarcity, sixthly panic, seventhly destruction. You could say those seven evils are actually upon us at this time, I would say. We're going through tribulation between our godlessness or grace, decision making. We are told about ruin. We're going through told about scarcity of food and panic, with never-ending ailments cascaded across us as health issues. Told to take this and that, and then obviously the destruction of us comes through the digitization of our being, if we allow it, of course. Okay, wait for the next slide. Okay, my children must flee evil doing, envy and hatred of brothers, and cleave to goodness and love. A pure mind in love does not look after a woman with a view to fornication. According to the words of Enoch, you will commit fornication with the fornication of Sodom, and will perish all except a few. Nevertheless, the temple of God will be in your portion, and the last temple will be more glorious than the first. The 12 tribes will be gathered there. When Joseph was in Egypt, I longed to see his figure. My children know that I am dying. Do truth and righteousness, judgment to confirmation, and keep the law of the Lord and his commandments. Lord will reveal his salvation to all nations. The Lord will judge Israel first, then all nations. When he finished his words, he said, command you, my children, carry up my bones out of Egypt and bury me at Hebron near my fathers, which is with the rest of them. Again, it's talking about vengeful God, the one who will judge. This I do not feel is so, or will actually even happen. Okay, so I think this is the end of the testaments of the 12 leaders of the tribes. Again, the second coming is yourself. Remember, it is always going to be yourself. It is going to be the divine Godhead, the breath of God within you. Your soul needs to integrate into it. The soul is your expression, what you exhibit in life. Your choices, your actions, words, thoughts, and intentions are held within your soul. Your soul's emanation will either be left to godlessness or towards going towards right of grace